tell everybody how this happened. I sent President Trump some information. We have a gigantic opiate problem in this country, obviously. In 2024, more than 80,000 people died of overdoses. It's a horrible number. And there's more than 5 million people that are addicted to opiates right now in this country. With one dose of Ibogaine, more than 80% of people are free of that addiction. With 2 doses, it's more than 90%. I sent him that information. The text message came back, sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it. It was literally that quick. These drugs are illegal not because they're harmful. They're illegal because of the 1970 Controlled Substances Act that was passed by the Richard Nixon administration. They did it to target the civil rights movement and the anti-war movement. It's not because these drugs harm people. And for 56 years, we've lived under those terrible conditions. We're free of that now. We're free of that now. Thanks to all these people that we see next to me, and thanks to President Trump.
I want to thank you. We all respect Joe.
Greetings. In a truly historic moment, President Trump has taken bold action against America's devastating opioid crisis by advancing Ibogaine treatment.
It's a little bit more liberal than that's okay. I have a lot of friends that are liberal, but Joe is an amazing guy, and he wrote me a little note about this, and I had it checked out. I didn't just do it. I had it checked out. I went to Bobby and Oz. I went to some of the people that work for you, real pros, and everybody came back with the same answer. You know, normally they'll come back, because this happens a lot. I have a couple of them like that, where they're not sure. It's like, you know, it goes 2 ways. This thing, everybody thought it was incredible. And I told Bobby, I said, Bobby, let's just do it and get Oz involved, and it's going to get done so quickly. And you guys did a great job. Would you like to say something, Oz?
Mr. President, I want to thank Matt Zord, who's hiding in the back there, who actually on Sunday wrote a draft for this. You already thanked Heidi and Kelly, but you know, Susie Wiles makes everything run here. This was an unimaginable task in 1 week to be able to go from a series of connections and communications with Joe Rogan through the honey badger of them all, Bobby Kennedy, who said, we're not going to stop. We didn't start calling everyone down the pike. Steph Spear's been involved, and Chris Klump, who's been doing a fantastic job, helping run everything in great efficiency, made something. I just want to emphasize this. This is an entire paradigm shift away from a one-day-a-pill model, which has failed so many. And to the many who are drug resistant that Joe just spoke to, this offers them a way of getting out of that rut. The question now is, can we study why it works to understand it better, to use it better? That's what Jay Bhattacharya is going to do, NIH with major funding support, perhaps some ARPA as well. Marty spoke eloquently about the FDA's accelerated pathway for this. And then we're going to, when we learn more, figure out better ways of getting access to these products through our healthcare system. But this is an extraordinarily exciting day, and it would never happen if the president just would not take no for an answer. He called on the way, Joe, to the fight on Saturday. And I think he was as determined to get this done as the men in those rings and women in those rings that night. Thank you, sir.
They are determined.
Yeah, I want to thank Professor Nolan Williams. When I was a professor at Stanford, I got to know him, and he taught me about Ibogaine and all the promise that it has for treatment-resistant depression and so many other conditions. Frankly, for me, I learned a lot. He unfortunately passed away last year. I want to thank this amazing team that just moved heaven and earth to get things done. I do want to emphasize this is something that we're still studying, and we have to keep studying. We have to figure out the right way to like make sure we administer it, that it's safe, that we don't just take it for granted. We already know everything, because we don't. And for the NIH and for ARPA-H, we are absolutely committed to making sure that we keep studying it, keep getting the best gold standard science on it. You see here Nora Volkow, who's my National Institute of Drug Abuse director. She's been an absolute hero in just developing scientific, so the commitment for American science to focus on this, and in many ways, it's that scientific advance that brought us to this moment. So thank you, President Trump.
But if it's good, we want to get it fully approved fast, right?
I mean, for the things that have great evidence, and that's what
you know, these studies, they go on for a long.
President Trump has just delivered a potential game changer in the battle against opioid addiction. After receiving critical information from Joe Rogan highlighting Ibogaine's remarkable success rates, over 80% of users freed from addiction with just one dose, more than 90% with two, the president responded with remarkable speed. His reply was simple yet decisive: sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it. This breakthrough directly challenges 56 years of prohibition stemming from the 1970 Controlled Substances Act, enacted under President Nixon not primarily for public health, but to target the civil rights and anti-war movements. For decades, politics trumped science, leaving more than 5 million Americans addicted and over 80,000 dead from overdoses in 2024 alone. Working closely with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., veterans advocates, and top scientists, this administration moved at unprecedented speed, bypassing the usual bureaucratic inertia that plagued previous governments. Personal testimonies from veterans like Rob O'Neill and Marcus Capone reveal lives saved from alcohol and opioid dependence, while experts such as Professor Nolan Williams underscore Ibogaine's promise for treatment-resistant depression. The executive order signals a paradigm shift from failed one-size-fits-all models to evidence-based, rapid-access solutions.
Time, and if it's good, I mean, I have a witness right here. These two incredible brothers. That to me is a study, right? That's
I mean,
it.
it's just as Commissioner McCary said, there's stuff that we know and we can tell it works. We still got to figure out sometimes how it works or why it works. That we got to keep doing even as we move forward fast.
But it does work.
Some of those, I mean, absolutely, some of those treatments absolutely work. You can see the testament here. Yeah.
I'm trying to get the answer because it either works or it doesn't. I would think that there's been a lot of research already. Indirect research, maybe the ultimate research, people that have taken it, because I've spoken to people that have taken it, aside from the trail, both of them. I've spoken to 5 people that
Mr. President,
that had big problems.
I've done it 3 times.
Yeah,
It works.
please.
It fixed my demonic
This
relationship.
is Rob O'Neill, who's a friend of mine and a great guy. Go ahead, Rob.
It fixed my demonic relationship with alcohol. It saved my life, and then it saved my wife. So every day is a blessing. It took about 3 years of. I did it 3 times. It's a different adventure every time. That's not fun.
So without it, you would have had problems.
I did it with. There was a Green Beret, 28-year sergeant major, that told me when we finished, make sure you tell Amber Capone, the CEO of Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions, that she saved my life because I was going to kill myself next week. This was my last chance. I had a 28-year veteran tell me that. Wow. This works.
Okay, good.
Mr. President,
Yes.
could you ask Marcus to speak about his experience?
Thank you, Secretary. Yeah, Mr. President, what Rob O'Neill is talking about, my wife Amber Capone is the CEO of our charity Vets, Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions. We had prayed for this day to come 10 years ago when we started the charity. We've been sending veterans outside the country, Joe, that you've been talking about for years, several thousand now, and we said the mission will end once this day happens, so we believe this is a huge step in maybe that the mission goes away and now we have affordable access right here in the U.S.
Why didn't they get it done?
We're getting it done, right? You're getting it done.
Yeah, why yet other presidents looking at it, right? Why didn't they get it done?
I think we needed you.
That's my job. I can answer that question, sir, if you want.
Go ahead, please.
There's a small group of us in the House that have been trying to move legislation since I showed up. Mr. Correa, Mr. Bergman, Mr. McCall, Mr. Crenshaw, every year have tried to move legislation. That side of the room is not going to like what I have to say about this. And every year it has all fallen short. Every year it has all fallen short. And it's because of the proverbial roadblocks that are always in the way.
Right, that's right.
Okay, fair assessment. But those members and myself were convicted never to give up, ever. And with this executive order, I'm going to maintain composure, Mr. President. With this executive order, you have broken down those barriers and allowed us, I have all the faith in the world that this will codify and remain forever. So thank you very much for taking care of your service members and your veterans and giving the members that have been working on this for so long a chance. Thank you, sir.
Well, this, when I sign this does solve it for the 3-year, but we'll get that codified very easily.
Absolutely. Thank
Once I sign it, we get them codified, so we'll make it permanent. I have no doubt it's going to be working. Would anybody else like to say something? These two women are so talented.
Well, I love an executive order that says research, 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 because it's ultimately what guides us onto how to optimally do things. And I think that this is what hopefully will start to happen, and bringing up change in a system that has been very difficult to modify because of prior experiences. These drugs have unique characteristics that could actually, if we investigate them, can bring us into potential applications that currently we're not thinking about. But if we close the door to science, if we close the door to data, we'll just keep on doing the same thing again and again.
Do you think the door was
It
closed?
was hard to,
Yes.
it was hard to do research.
It's
before.
very, very hard. And it's actually just by scheduling as a one, it makes it very
So
difficult.
this is a big move then. It's going to have
It will facilitate
bigger than
research.
just this one thing that we're talking about. That's good. That's good. I'm glad we didn't waste a Saturday morning. Unusual, huh? Please.
Yes, Mr. President, this is a much needed, bold move for precision mental health for our veterans and others, and accelerates access to personalized targeted treatments. As you have heard, many veterans and others experiencing mental health disorders, they go through up to years of trial and error, trying one treatment that doesn't work, trying another and not knowing why. My work at Stanford and with my colleagues is to develop brain-based tests that can be measured right now in our VA and other locations that help us understand why these new treatments work and who they'll be most effective for. So with your mandate, we are in a position to really accelerate saving lives of many more people and getting them well sooner. And I believe that with this, the United States will be the first country in the world to treat mental health like we do cancer and like we do many other chronic mental illnesses.
We know the world is. The world is actually watching this because there are a lot of countries that want to do this and they haven't been able to. They're going to be following suit very, very strongly. Thank you very much, both. Anybody else? You guys okay? Everybody, let's sign it, right? You want to say something?
Mr. President, thank you. This treatment saved my life as well, and so many fellow veterans. Helped me get off opiates, stop using a nerve stimulator I had implanted, sleep for the first time in over 10 years.
Wow.
So thank you.
And you have no doubt, right?
Zero.
Wow, to me, that's the best research of all, frankly.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's my honor. Good, that's a good one. Oh, I wanted this one to be. See that, Joe? You think Biden can do that? He can't do that.
What we are witnessing is far more than a single policy victory. It is a long overdue reckoning with a failed war on drugs that was never truly about public safety. President Trump's swift decision exposes how the 1970 Controlled Substances Act was weaponized for political control rather than health protection, locking effective treatments behind Schedule I barriers for over half a century. By acting on Joe Rogan's direct input and enlisting RFK Jr.'s relentless advocacy, the administration shattered decades of institutional resistance that previous leaders tolerated or ignored. Why now? Because the human cost had become impossible to dismiss. 80,000 overdose deaths in 2024, millions trapped in addiction, and veterans returning from service only to battle invisible demons at home. The personal stories shared in the room. Veterans who credit Ibogaine with ending suicidal ideation, breaking alcohol's grip after 3 doses, and restoring families, provide the raw evidence that no amount of bureaucratic delay could refute. This move is strategic on multiple levels. First, it honors the scientific data already accumulated, accelerated pathways exist, NIH and ARPAH funding will now flow, and brain-based tests from Stanford researchers like Nolan Williams will personalize treatment. Second, it fulfills a moral obligation to service members who sacrificed everything yet faced roadblocks in Congress year after year. Representatives who fought quietly for legislation finally see executive power clear the path. Third, it redefines mental health policy, treating addiction and depression with the same urgency and precision we apply to cancer, moving from trial-and-error pharmaceuticals to targeted, transformative interventions. Critics may claim the science is incomplete, yet the president's own words cut through. When real-world outcomes from veterans and civilians speak louder than endless studies, action becomes the ethical imperative. The door that was deliberately closed by outdated scheduling is now wide open, not just for Ibogaine but for future paradigm-shifting therapies. This is why the world is watching. Nations that struggled with similar prohibitions are poised to follow America's lead. The deeper truth is that this executive order restores agency to citizens and science to policymaking. It proves that determined leadership, grounded in real human suffering and proven results, can dismantle entrenched failures. For families shattered by addiction, for veterans who prayed for this day, and for every American tired of watching headlines without solutions, today marks the beginning of accountability. The administration has committed to continued research, ensuring safety, optimizing delivery, and expanding access through the healthcare system, while refusing to let perfect become the enemy of immediate relief. In the end, this is about reclaiming justice from politics. When leaders listen to experts, veterans, and those who have suffered most, they deliver results that transcend party lines. Trump's refusal to accept no echoes the determination of the fighters he referenced, turning compassion into concrete policy. The real test lies ahead. Will Congress codify this progress permanently? Will funding follow through? Yet the momentum is unmistakable. For the first time in generations, hope backed by hard evidence is being translated into lives saved, families restored, and a national conversation shifted from punishment to healing. This is the kind of bold, evidence-driven governance that citizens have demanded and now finally see in action.